Okay, the other half of our the evening with the Smiths is Sean Smith. I don't know how many years, your mom didn't say how many years you guys have been members, but 20. Wow. 20-year member. So they've seen a lot come and go before I got here. So anyway, Sean is very mysterious. You don't see a lot of his work. You don't see a lot of his work, and you know, if you catch him at a science fiction con, you might see one or two pieces sometimes, but they're hard to come by too. So anyway, not sure what field he stayed. What would you call computer graphics? Yeah, that's about it. So here is Sean.
Yeah, like my mother, I can't do abstracts or anything. If I start painting something, I don't know where it's going, it's over. And I can't do anything with it. I have to know exactly what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it and what paint I'm going to use, and you know, if I'm going to be sitting or standing. So I can't paint anything loose. Anything that, you know, goes like this doesn't happen. It has to be like that. So, but we'll do a chronological thing, I guess. When I was younger, home was always full of statues and, you know, statues of heads and people and things like that, and paintings and all that. I thought, until I was like 6 or 7, I thought everyone had a pottery studio in the basement. That's what you had, you know. And a lot of early art, I guess, grade school, you don't really learn much. It's mostly like a big psychological test, you know. Where'd you put your family in the paint, the crayon drawing and all. I took art classes in high school, and I guess that's the first place they really show you. Actually, they take you through the thing. You do still lives and you draw your sneaker. And you do that
studio art.
Everyone has a sneaker picture.
And then you did painting and things like that. And after that, I didn't do anything for 10 years after I got out of high school. And maybe sketching or something like that, but I didn't paint, I didn't do anything, I had no interest in it really. And did a lot of photography and things like that, and video and film, things like that. And then I got an airbrush because I had some kind of plan. I was going to do some kind of backdrops for videos, and that never happened. And then I started pulling out the airbrush and painting some stuff. And I wound up, I guess it was like the late 80s, a local science fiction convention. I did a t-shirt design and a book cover for the program book they had, and a couple things like that. And then afterwards, I started to do some paintings and show them at conventions and things like that. I was with the airbrush. Yeah, it was mostly airbrush and a little brushwork along with it, but most of it was like airbrush. And I didn't take any classes or anything like that, and I was just doing it, you know. And you know, they talk a lot about, you know, learning from failure, and I screwed up endless amounts of paintings. I mean, just ruined them. And I had this stuff called, you ever see it? It's like a plastic mask, and it kind of sticks to the
Frisket.
Yeah, frisket. And And it doesn't say anything on the package that you got to put it on the bare paper, and then afterwards, after you paint on it, you can't put it back over the paint. And I was working on this whole thing, and I had about 5 hours to the show. And I pulled the thing off, and all the paint came with it, just ripping chunks of paint out and all that. So I learned how to use like a 000 brush and get in there and kind of match up colors and kind of fix all the little mistakes and all like that. So I guess it helps to ruin a couple things along the way. And I don't know, it was mostly just kind of hit or miss. You know, I'd buy paint and mix it different ways, and sometimes it would work and sometimes it didn't, you know. I did that through the 90s, hitting and missing. And I did take a couple classes at a lot of free classes, you know, at the library and stuff like that. So class at Sayville Public Library, and it was watercolor. And a guy named Joe was teaching a class, Joe Durago, and he was a member of Bell Street Artists, and they had a show over in St. Joseph's. And we went over there and we were looking at some stuff, and I ran into Joe Carty, and he was over there, and I started talking to him. He had a little portfolio of his stuff, and he was showing me his watercolors and all that stuff. And he said, "Oh yeah, I mean, wet paints." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I heard about that," because he used to run an ad all the time in
all the local
Penny Sayville or something like that.
Papers.
And I was like, yeah, go check that out, you know. And then took a class with Tom Pepper, and I was over at Connecticut High School, one of his night classes or something like that. And he you know, told me about wet paints also, so came down here, and that was about 20 years ago, I guess, so I'm doing that. And started to do some, you know, the shows over here and all like that, because most of the stuff I was doing was like science fiction conventions, and so I kind of started to do other types of art along the way and all like that. Not very different, but a little bit different. And did that for about I guess it was around 2001 and 9/11, and I stopped painting after that. And I don't know, I just recently started again, and I'm working on some new stuff, different than what the stuff I used to do and all like that. It's not really fully realized or anything like that, so I'm just kind of looking for a new direction and all like that. I still do some of the same stuff because some people ask me for it, you know, they want some covers for things, or, you know, science fiction type stuff and all like that. This was something that was kind of like in between, I guess. I did that like, I guess 17 years ago. And it was, I think I brought it in. I had it in one of the shows that we did here. It was Iceland. So
What medium is that?
It's acrylic. It's mostly what I do is acrylic. I mean, I've tried other stuff, you know, watercolor, and like I said, I'm not very good at painting loose. You know, I've tried pastel, you know, and I do it from time to time, but mostly the easier stuff. I have a lot of oils. I bought a lot of oil paints, and they're still in the tubes. So one of these days, I think I opened one up and it went like that. So one of these days I might actually...
Is that airbrushed, Sean? Or
Yeah,
is it
yeah.
painted?
That's airbrushed. There's also painting in there too, but it's mostly airbrush, and it's, you know, airbrushed. So, I don't use Frisket anymore after destroying that painting. So mostly what I do is if I want to section off things, I use magazines.
Is that planned before you start painting?
Everything's planned. I can't paint anything without a plan.
It's so different than your mom. Do you sketch it first?
What I do is I over-sketch things, like I'll sketch parts of things, you know, and I'll do like a lot of sketches I don't use, you know, so I'll sketch something, I'll sketch something, I'll sketch something, and, you know, I have sketches of things that I still haven't painted yet, maybe another 10 years from now, so.
You might use them in another painting or...
Well, I mean, I do a lot of sketching, I just don't,
Like you detail it down, like you say if you were doing a
everything's planned out.
building and then you just get down to the, like, to the little corner, you
Everything's
know.
planned out,
So everything is detailed.
yeah. Everything's planned out, everything's drawn out.
Did
everything's-
you name that picture?
No. No. I mean, I may have named it. Oh, wait, there's still a tag from the show on here. Oh, retrograde. That's meaningless.
Yeah, that is.
It even, I'm not going to tell you what the price was. Yeah, retrograde, sure.
I mean, Sean, do you start with a horizon line or a vertical line or?
Oh,
I noticed you got horizon.
yeah, there's a
lines.
couple horizons.
So you got sky, water.
Yeah, well, yeah, this one I actually planned out, and it's let's see, we have a serpent devouring itself, which is around the edges.
Oh, that's the edge? Oh, I see.
We have a
Oh,
serpent,
I see his eyes.
and he's eating his tail,
Yeah.
Ouroboros.
and that's
That's weird.
It's an infinite
It's
symbol,
weird,
isn't
but
it?
it's really symbolism that's been used for thousands of years. And a serpent, a snake devouring itself, is a symbol of time, like that. And there's a sequence in here, and I have like some stardust, and I have like little stages in a planet, the birth of a planet, and the death of a planet, returning back to stardust. And also I tie in a morning, afternoon, sunset kind of thing. So there's a couple different ideas that are going on there that have this kind of sequence going on. So there was actually a plan.
Yeah.
Retrograde, I don't know what that means. It sounds cool. It's
It
cool.
does.
Hey, you said you're working on something new, new imagery?
I've been looking a lot at pop surrealism.
Okay.
That's there's a couple things that are happening right now in the art world. One is pop surrealism, and there's a lot of stuff I like about it, and there's a lot of stuff I don't like about it.
I don't know anything about it. What is it?
It's well, I guess if you take, you know, pop art, where you
Tomato soup
taking
can.
a soup can or you know, a soapbox or something like that.
Andy Wall.
And then you move on from there, and there's a lot of popular imagery and things tied into, you know, I think it's Robert Williams, and a lot of hot rods and imagery, icons that are kind of tied in with, you know, things that are happening today and all that. But,
Would it be similar to like the Coca-Cola logo has gone from Coca-Cola to Coke, and now you just see the little tail and you still know that it's Coca-Cola? It's like bringing it to that abstract art?
yeah, well, that's an
Something
icon.
like that?
I mean, there are definite icons in there. That's what a lot of it is. I mean, the whole thing is, you know, icons of what's going on. So. But I really don't think I'd go the whole route that they did. It's been done already, so I'm just, working on something else. But it's not ready yet. So. One of these days I'll figure it out. I said maybe another 10 years or so.
You want to see it all.
Yeah, so, but, and I just brought in one painting because
Yeah.
pretty much give you an idea what's going on.
But do you do everything like that? I mean, would you say that's the genre of your work is like that?
Yeah, I guess so.
The push comes to shove.
Really?
I did a digital thing because I'm trying to build an air chamber, pull out the fumes. I wouldn't recommend airbrushing because you wind up killing yourself eventually. And you got to have a lot of ventilation. You have to build a ventilation booth. And the last stuff I did this year was outside. And so I did a digital painting because I didn't want to mess with paint. So
You mean breathing in the paint itself?
yeah.
Do you have a Mac? You use a Mac for digital?
No,
What do you use?
just a regular PC.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Do you have a special program?
free programs. Whatever's free.
Whatever's free.
Oh, okay.
You get
Sean, like GIMP?
GIMP.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one called paint.net, and I haven't tried it, a lot of people like it, but GIMP is free. And if you want to mess with 3D type stuff, there's a program called Blender, and Blender is free. And not only are they free, but they're what you call open source. So if you know how to program, you can help write the program itself. So, but I mean, these things are they're free programs, and you can use them. And I've been fooling around with digital art, for years now, but I haven't really actually done anything. That was for cover. So I actually did a cover a couple weeks ago. And
You've done a couple covers, right? Book covers?
yeah, this is the first one that was digital.
Digital.
The other ones were airbrush.
Do you walk it yourself to do covers?
No.
How do
That's the
people know?
sci-fi industry, what's it coming from?
These are people I know and they asked me to do it. So, because I really didn't have any interest in doing it. And I didn't really, I've never put together any kind of portfolio or anything like that. And I've had stuff in shows where people have seen it, but I've never really gotten a portfolio and gone showing it to people, because I feel kind of funny about that. And I've seen other people doing it, and a lot of times, it's an art director and shoving a portfolio in someone's face, and oh, just look at this, and they're like, oh God. And you can see the pain, and they just can't. Seriously, they're like ready to gnaw their arm off to get away from this person, and you don't want to be that person, So, I mean, if they're looking for stuff, you build something, you send it, and they can send it in electronically and stuff like that. But just the idea of running around with a portfolio and harassing people.
Well, in the old days, you had to have a portfolio. You wanted to get a job,
If you're gonna go into that, I like painting, but I don't want to do that. I could make more money, computer programming. So, painting. So painting is fun.
Is that what you do for a living?
Yeah.
Programmer?
I have a degree in that, and but painting, it's if you want to really learn to hate something, you know, then you start, you know, worrying about, you know, feeding yourself and doing it. So, I mean, you know, painting is nice when, you know, you don't have someone, you know, hanging around over your shoulder, no, finish it now.
Mm.
So, but it is fun. I mean, if you get, you know, you get jobs doing things like that, sure you do. But, you know, starting to depend on it just ruin the whole thing, you know, you have to.
What do you feel is a good sense between the digital painting and, you know, really hand-eye, you know, coordination to paint something? Do you find a big difference? Do you find one better than the other?
Yeah, because I was using a mouse, and then I was using my left hand, and I'm right-handed. So I don't know why I was doing that.
I
But
do
I
that
was.
too.
Yeah, and I was doing the thing, so, you know, you're trying to do a line, and it's not working, and then you have to do it again. I have a writing tablet, you know, one that you can actually do the art on, and I never hooked it up. So, I should try that one.
Yeah.
I hear they're very nice.
You got
Yeah, but,
No, but I mean, say if you get a book cover or a flyer for, you know, science fiction or whatever, would you go right to a digital and work that way first, or would you rather paint something?
I would
like-
say these days, most work that you see in magazines and book covers and things like that are going digital.
Sure.
And if it's not digital, you're gonna have to digitize it, so you're gonna have to bring it someplace and they'll photograph it and they'll turn it into digital and they'll send it in or something like that. I mean, they're gonna have to digitize it at some point because that's the print process.
Oh, okay.
It gets put into it.
It's not really a better
Well,
process,
well-
or?
Well, they want to see different steps, how you come, they might want to see the roughs and go, okay, tweak it here, so when you send it back and forth, it's easier, that's
Yeah.
the norm
It's
for
just
that.
how it's done these days, you know, it's, you know, you separate the stuff out, you know, using computer, you know. But if you really want to do that type of stuff, it's easier. I mean, there are some things that are probably never going to be digitized, like romance covers, you know. You ever seen any romance artwork? And you know, you actually see the paintings. Have you seen those? And they're really, you know, high quality. You know, the artists really do a great job. And I've seen a couple of them. They're really breathtaking. And I don't see how you could ever really duplicate that doing digital. You know, something like that has to be, you know, most likely it's going to be an oil painting or something like that. So, you know, but I mean, digital is, you know, if you're going to be, you know, doing that type of stuff, I mean, you know, get a computer and knock it out. I mean, not that there isn't regular, you know, paintings and things like that out there, but you know, most of it's, you know, it's a lot easier for these people to work with. But hey, I don't know nothing, so don't ask me about it, you know. I mean, you know, art's for fun, right? You want to have fun doing that stuff. So, you know.
So are you having fun, Sean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm having fun, so I'm starting. I didn't paint for a while and I started painting again, so, you know, because I miss it. And I like the process of painting, you know, you just kind of like focusing on something, kind of painting, and it's nice, you know, because you can kind of, you know what it's like, right?
You get lost in it.
You're actually
Zone
painting
out.
something.
We should watch some of that stuff, and I love
Yeah.
it. I think, did you get a book cover to do with something with that style?
Yeah.
I suppose so.
Yeah.
And the book is? I'm giving you a shot here, like.
There's a couple that are like, it's kind of like a serialization or a magazine. It's Tales of Tomorrow. Two Tales of Tomorrow, and then there's more Tales of Tomorrow. And like that.
Use the petty face.
There's a couple of them out there, and they, you know, it's kind of like groups of short stories and some novels that are serialized and things like that. And that's and that's digital.
And that's science fiction?
Yeah, and it's in the doodad thing. What's that thing you read? What's that called?
Kindle?
Kindle. Yeah.
iPad?
So it's Kindle. So that's what you got.
So when someone wants you to do a cover for them, do they tell you exactly what they want, or they explain the concept and then you kind of use your imagination and come up with something?
Yeah, sometimes what they'll do is they'll give me a chapter of the book or something like that, and they'll say, you know, this happens here, and read this chapter, and you look at it, and they'll give you, you know, they tell you anything extra about what's going on there, but you read the story or part of the story, you know, and you get kind of an image in your head, and you know, you can sketch it out, and you can send them a sketch, right? And if you want to go a little further, then you can do a quick color sketch and just get a basic idea of what's going on there. And you know, sometimes they just want a generic type, you know, give me something that looks like science fiction. Yeah. It's true. So, you know, so you do something like that.
You can reprint it with
Yeah. So you do that kind of thing. And you know, so they know what's inside, you know. See science fiction stuff on the cover, you know what's inside. It doesn't have to be exactly what's on the cover, it gives the basic idea. Yeah.
Do you have any other plans? I mean, you said you were working on this new concept.
Yeah, well, that's really not science fiction, that's just art. So, but I haven't really got there yet. I can't paint anything unless I know exactly what I'm going to paint. So I have to have it in my head first.
Do you keep notebooks?
Yeah, sketches and, you know, things like that. And, but, you know, it's...
Do you find you get little ideas at a time, or a whole concept, and then have to fill it in?
This is, I guess, a different kind of thing. So maybe you'd be talking about a concept, you know. I mean, if you talk about, I guess, different types of art movements, like I said, pop surrealism, or there's other things that are popular now, like street art or things like that, and I guess that's a concept. So, and then within that, you'd probably have your own kind of little place.
Okay.
I just haven't found that little place yet.
Okay.
So, you know. But I'm working on it.
Well, you're your own boss.
Yeah, sure.
Well, it's a journey, they say, right?
But I still do the old stuff that I've done. But yeah, I'm gonna work on something new, so that's what I'm working on.
Don't you find it comes, you do one thing and then that kind of leads you to a little different way to do it, and then that leads to another little different way. So all of a sudden you realize that you're using a whole completely new method.
Oh yeah, sure.
You know, that you just keep growing into it, but you gotta keep doing it.
Like I said, when I started doing this stuff, I didn't know how to use an airbrush.
Right.
You know, and actually right now, I'm really getting away from using the airbrush.
That was
and all
the
like that.
new
I use it less and less all the time. So,
Well, if it's that dangerous, it's scary.
yeah, well, you don't want to inhale cadmium. Cadmium is bad.
Cadmium is
Don't
bad.
inhale it.
Don't eat it either.
Don't eat lead, don't eat cadmium,
I'm pretty sure.
or any of that stuff. And, you know, all paint, they like to put all types of metals in paints that aren't very good for you. So, yeah, don't stick your hand in a turpentine and let it sit there for a while. Don't do that. Yeah, I mean, you know, these are all toxic substances. You don't want to mess with them, you know. And, like I said, it's much easier to just paint with a brush or something like that, you know, airbrushing. It's a mess, you know, you have to have ventilation, you know.
So, but it's too late for us old guys. Me, Walton.
What's too late?
It's too late.
Right.
We still use cadmium.
Well,
You're not the spray.
You're not inhaling.
But
You don't breathe
You're not eating it or inhaling
When
it.
you're
Stop
spraying
eating
it,
it.
you're atomizing it, so it's a powder in the air. Otherwise, I wouldn't worry about it.
I'm not worried about it now, because, you know.
Damage is done.
The term's got you a long time ago.
I'm not the only one in this room. There's a couple of us.
I wouldn't worry too much about it, unless you're doing something like where you're atomizing it, it's getting into the air and you're breathing it in. You know, you don't want it really sitting on your skin too much, because you can absorb it through your skin, especially if it's mixed with a solvent. Solvent likes to go right through your flesh.
Yeah, that's why I use
So be safe when you mess with that stuff. But in most cases, it's not that dangerous. You know, don't eat it.
not going to spread it out like peanut butter.
No.
Yeah. Any other questions or anything? Sean? No? I wish you would have brought a few more pieces in, Sean, much to my direction, but, you know.
Sean.
I've seen one is, you know.
No, you haven't. No.
Out of all your art, you chose this piece to bring in.
Number 3.
What drew you to this to bring it in?
It's the only way I frame.
Yeah. This is the only one I hang in my house. This is the only one of my paintings that I've ever really hung up. And I guess you know, it's kind of like the symbolic end of it, you know, kind of. And that's, I mean, I think it's kind of looks like anything else I do. So as far as that, you know, it's representative of how it looks. And, you know, it means something to me. Not a huge amount, but so you know, I have it hanging in my room and I look at it from time to time. So I figured I'd bring it by.
Larry's got
Well, Sean, I was just mentioning, Chris has pulled up a couple of the books that John has illustrated the covers for us.
Oh.
So we're having a more
beginning
comprehensive art show here.
Yeah, okay.
So they found some.
You're on my list.
Are they gonna show it?
So there are a couple.
We've seen twice as many of them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all good, yes.
So they're very small.
We didn't need Sean.
But,
Sean, what happened, you said 9/11, you stopped work, was that a coincidence, or was it because of that horrific event, or did it just come together, or?
yeah, you know, there's a lot of things, and you know, it gets us into a whole thing of like, you know, censorship and propaganda and all the wrong parts of art, and it's stuff that I really hate. And I don't know, it's just I saw an art display, and it was you know, it's probably done with the best intentions. You know, it was like a 8th grade art class, and they're doing art for 9/11, and it was just in such bad taste. And I just looked at it; it was just awful. And you know, you're trying to do something. I don't know. I just didn't want any part of it.
So it was 10 years, a decade before?
Yeah, I was actually thinking of painting before that, like maybe like 2 years ago or something like that, 3 years ago, and they had the what was that paint store that they had up in Center Reach there? Pearl Paint,
Sure.
yeah. And I went up there and they had just closed it.
A sign.
And I was at the door and it was empty inside, and I was like, oh. So About the whole time that store was open, I wasn't painting, which kills me because,
That was a great store.
yeah, sure. So I got there and it was empty. So I probably started painting a little earlier.
I live on Blue Country Road over in
You have the same
South
problem
Shore.
I do. Every time I want to go to this new shop, every time I get there, he's swollen.
They had one in,
But,
East Meadow too.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes you just need a break from something. But,
Do you have anything now in the future that you want to paint? Do you have any plans for any topic or style? Or?
I'm working on it, but you know, there's nothing that really is fully there. So, like I said, it's really hard for me to paint anything unless I know what I'm going to paint. I can't just paint something. So, I don't know. I'm working on it, but you know, you draw blanks. But, you know,
Well, do you sometimes if you just sit down and you scribble or you just thinking with a pencil in your hand? You ever do that? And
oh yeah, sure. You know, even when I wasn't really painting, I always sketched things. And
you're always sketching.
Oh yeah. If I see something I like, I sketch it, or you know, I could have a weird dream or something like that, and I wake up and I'll sketch that. I'll sketch the pictures I had in my head. You know, I'll sketch images that are in my head. But I don't consider sketching or painting the same thing. It's always sketching. So always done that. It's just something you do.
The ideas.
Yeah, it's, you know, I think it's a good part of it, right? Probably more sketching than painting, right? In most cases.
Anything else, anyone want to ask Sean, or
No, well,
recap?
we're into.
No? Okay, thank you.